Hi, I'm Beverly B. I'm an alcoholic, and I'm from the Happy Hour and Sobriety Group, which meets in Warren, Michigan at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 7 days a week at the Eastside L&O Club, which is located on 9 Mile Road near Hoover. That's my home group. Without that, I'm homeless, so I always mention that. Avoiding resentment, I really, I put a lot of prayer into it, and I really didn't know what I was going to talk about, and in the middle of the afternoon, something just told me go grab a pen, and this is what I came up with. I asked God to help me speak. I'm not a great speaker. I got stage fright once, and that kind of shook me a little bit. But avoiding resentments, when we were first asked to do this panel, my fiance and I were outside, and we were laughing a lot because if you think about it, no matter what I do in my life, I could get a resentment over anything. And we were taking any little topic and just blowing it up, adding on to it, heaping more resentments on little stuff, for instance, I like gardening, okay? And I was thinking about that today. Okay, I like gardening, so when I put in this garden, I put a lot of work into it. I dig the ground, I drop the seeds in, birds come along, they eat my seeds. Resentment, right? It starts so simple, it starts with me though, and I do have a choice over whether I'm going to get a resentment or whether I'm not. There's all kinds of things that can happen. My dog gets into my garden, steps on and breaks my plant. Now I'm mad at my dog. Now I'm mad at my garden too because my plants are ruined. I'm mad at my dog. Do I get rid of my dog? No, I love him. But I get a resentment, or do I get rid of it? I started some plants and I had these seedlings and I was picking which ones I was going to give to a couple of people, and I could get a resentment over that too. Because I had all these little seedling plants, they all looked the same, when I was picking and choosing which ones I was going to give away. About 2 weeks later, theirs were bigger. They had more flowers on their tomato plants. They were bushier, I could have got a resentment. It's everywhere I go. There's 3 things I know that I can guarantee 100%. I'll never be perfect as long as I live. That's a given. I'll continue to get and give resentments the rest of my life, even if some are unintentional. And if I hold on to a resentment, it will steal my joy and happiness, and it will kill me spiritually, emotionally, possibly physically. Hypertension is a #1 killer. So it can cost me all kinds of things. Relationships with friends and family. I get a resentment. I didn't talk to my sister for a little while, but I wasn't in the program at that point. And I was thinking about that today, holding on to a resentment, with somebody, you never have a guarantee that they're going to be around forever. I was very fortunate. My sister has a lot of medical situations, problems in her life. And I was really grateful that we were able to clear the air and drop the resentments while she was alive. I mean, she's still alive, don't get me wrong. But it could have had a very drastic ending. And that's a resentment I could have never cleared. It can affect all kinds of, resentments. Basically, before I came into this fellowship, pretty much had a good control over a large part of my life. In school, a teacher would call on me and embarrass me in front of the class. Oh man, resentment. I gotta cut that class. Now I'm going to quit that class. That could have had a impact on my career choice. I might have needed that class, but I'm going to quit that class because that teacher gave me a resentment. This was prior to knowing what I can do with resentments. I've quit jobs. The boss looks at me the wrong way. People are talking in the corner. Well, they got to be talking about me. I'm going to get a resentment, right? Now, I can't be friends with them because they're not cool. I don't like them, because they're probably talking about me. I got a resentment. Everywhere I go, it can be something. But I didn't know how to deal with them. So most of them are avoidable. 90% of my resentments right now are miscommunication. I think I know what you said. I'm not going to ask you if I got it right, to verify that I know what you said. If I get a resentment, it's my fault because I didn't take the time to ask you to clear the air to see, did I really get it right? Or I expect you to read my mind. Or I think I can read yours, And there's a resentment, that's pride. And I have to be really careful of that stuff. I misinterpret situations, what's being said. I'll never be able to read somebody else's mind, and they'll never be able to read mine. That's a fact. But a little bit about my history and resentment. I resented my way out of this fellowship with 10 years, 11 months, and 3 days of continuous sobriety. A resentment took me out of this fellowship. It started slowly. It snuck up on me. I didn't know I really had them until I was already drinking. Back in the day, I was very active in service work, mostly happy, joyous, and free. I had a lot of situations in my life, and my mom was dying of Alzheimer's. I was going through a divorce from somebody in the fellowship. I married somebody, who was also one of us. And it kind of split our friends. People didn't know what to say, And I'd go to my meetings and I wouldn't talk about it. And I'd go home. And friends didn't know what to say. And I got a resentment. These are my friends. They were my friends for over a decade. I really needed their support. But they didn't know that. They can't read my mind, I can't read theirs, and I got a resentment. I didn't take it to the tables. I didn't talk about it. I didn't talk about the hurt. I didn't talk about the sadness. I didn't talk about the loneliness. Instead, I chose to resent the fact that I felt alone. But that was my choice. I put myself in that situation, and I never gave myself a chance to get back out of it. And I drank. And my mother died, and I drank, and all this time, prior to this, I was sponsoring women, and I thought I would do them a great disservice by not showing them how women can be strong in the fellowship. We can handle things. We can get through things, and deal with them. But I wasn't dealing with them. It was fake. The best gift I could have given the ladies I was sponsoring was to show them that it was just as okay to cry as it is to laugh. And keep it real. And let people know really what was going on. If you asked me, how I was, I got a good sense of humor. Most people that know me know that. I'm quick to laugh. I enjoy that, But if you asked me how things were going, I would have told you, I'm okay. It's cool, And it wasn't. I was dying inside. And this all started from a resentment way before I picked up a drink. It talks about that, in the 12 and 12 and Big Book also, Excuse me. It says, "It is plain that a life which includes deep resentment leads only to futility and unhappiness." That was me. To the precise extent that we permit these, do we squander the hours that might have been worthwhile? But with the alcoholic whose hope is the maintenance and growth of a spiritual experience, this business of harboring resentment is infinitely grave. For then we shut ourselves off from the sunlight of the Spirit. The insanity of alcohol returns and we drink again. And with us, to drink is to die. If we were to live, we had to be free of anger. The grouch and the sudden rage were not for us. Anger is the dubious luxury of normal men. But for us alcoholics, it is poison. And that's out of the Big Book on page 66. It also mentions that few people have been more victimized by resentments than alcoholics. A burst of temper could spoil a day. A well-nursed grudge could make us miserably ineffective, nor were we ever skillful in separating justified from unjustified anger. As we saw it, our wrath was always justified. Anger, that occasional luxury of more balanced people, could keep us on an emotional jag indefinitely. These dry benders often led straight to the bottle. And that was my story. I spent 4 years going in and out of this fellowship. Miserable.